Rapper Lil Durk.
Lil Durk targeted a rival rapper in a murder-for-hire plot back in 2022.
Is in the hospital tonight after being attacked in federal.
I can assure you that it is not amusing that Lil Durk is currently being held in Florida's most notorious prison.
Locked up in Broward County Jail. He's there right now. It's Broward. He's in Florida. I got the whole thing on. Look at my stream. I got it. Oh my.
There are some very well-known persons who live here, such as Lil Melly, who has been there for more than 5 years, and every square inch of this place is closely monitored.
Durk was the only one alive, the last one standing. So if you look at the history, there was a case where Doug and Vaughn got arrested for shooting the guy in Atlanta. They was able to put that all on Vaughn because he died. We fast forward now to this situation. Previously, if you look at the history, D-Thing would have been the person, allegedly, who would have coordinated. He's gone. According to court documents, Durk says, don't book nothing associated to me. We watching history repeat itself because those rental car transactions is what got the Young Thug in there. The same thing is...
The gods are also known to be harsh. We have heard horrifying tales of them torturing prisoners and even allowing them to starve to death, which makes life much more difficult. Regretfully, Durk's quarters are in the worst area of the prison, with worse conditions than other sections. There, you won't believe how awful things are. Lil Durk was arrested on October 25 and transported to one of the most notorious jails in Florida.
I want to embrace it, you know what I'm saying, because it helped me a lot. So I want people to not run from it or be shy from it. It was tough at first, but it ain't that tough because I really knew what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? I knew what was holding me back. I wanted better. You know what I'm saying? I want to be a better man, a better father, a better leader, thinking clearer. You know what I'm saying? See, my main goal is peace. You know what I'm saying? Being with the family.
He is currently waiting, but we have learned that it might take some time for him to be transferred to the U.S. Marshals. Even if the alleged crimes did not take place in Florida, he will not be departing anytime soon because we know he is being detained without bond. However, it's too soon to pinpoint the actual event. Unfortunately for him, he was held there following his arrest since Broward County Jail is a notoriously mad facility. Roughly half of its convicted inmates are thought to be. The primary correctional facility in Florida, Broward County Jail, is well known for hosting some of the most notorious criminals in the state, such as Lil Melly, who has been detained there for many years. Most likely, Durk is being jailed in the same division of Broward County as him. You'll understand why when you read more about the situation here. Although we've done a lot of study and think we have a solid idea, no one is certain yet of the area of the prison he is in. Since Lil Melly lives in the main jail, which houses notorious and dangerous criminals, Durk is probably there as well. Durk is likely to receive the same treatment as other prisoners regardless of his status because Broward County Jail does not have a VIP section and detainees are divided based on the kind of charge they committed. To handle its activities, this massive complex needs to be separated into 4 distinct divisions due to its size. The jail has been the focus of multiple investigations due to claims of severe treatment by its staff, despite the heavy surveillance. Inmates have allegedly been subjected to extreme mistreatment, including physical assault by guards. Such charges are hard to substantiate since Florida law limits the public's access to jail footage. Maximum security conditions are applied to prisoners confined at the main jail. Thousands of security cameras continuously watch every inch of this 8-story part of the building. As was already established, a sizable portion of the inmates in Broward County Jail suffer from mental health issues, and some of the tales coming out of the jail are extremely concerning. Testimonials from past detainees depict a much grimmer picture for Lil Durk, even if the jail's official website claims to be at the forefront of mental health care. These stories show how hard and terrible life is in the facility, especially for Durk and others like him. Prisoners under suicide watch or going through a mental health crisis are often placed in solitary confinement, which has been criticized for having detrimental impacts on mental health. In one horrifying case, an offender was kept in isolation for more than 112 days in a row without being evaluated for mental health issues. The intervention was only implemented after the inmate had sustained a serious injury that left them permanently scarred. Unfortunately, an inmate passed away in another instance. Not all prisoners suffer from mental health problems, yet it goes without saying that Durk and the other prisoners would prefer to avoid solitary confinement. How does the typical prisoner's life go? Internet reviews offer valuable insights into the event, despite their rarity. A Yelp review that amusingly gave the prison 5 stars is an example of Black humor rather than praise. They provide a stark reality, implying that you should neglect modesty, privacy, and personal space as your health deteriorates. According to prisoners, it's often vital to keep your back to the wall in order to prevent uncomfortable circumstances. According to a Reddit user's question on Lion Deli Melly's 5 years there, other prisoners engaged in overtly inappropriate behavior, which increased the atmosphere's tension and uneasiness. Everyone must deal with the fact that the Broward County Jail is obviously different from other places. Provided some unsettling data, Broward County has 4 detention facilities, the main jail in Fort Lauderdale, and 3 in Pompano Beach, according to one individual who gave information about the jail system after stating that he had been incarcerated there for a year. Before being placed in protective care, Nellie reportedly started her life in the community. He currently lives with my flatmate on the 8th level of the hostel in Jep. Even worse, documents show that 21 inmates have died at Broward County Jail in recent years, a shocking statistic that highlights the risks to inmates and the hazardous circumstances there. Lil Durk had previously been placed in protective custody, where he was mistreated, denied access to his phone, and even had his television turned off. One user put it simply, "Jail stinks, not a good time." Melissa's 5 years of awaiting trial in such conditions give a glimpse of what Lil Durk might face during his stay. The judge rejected Lil Durk's requested bond due to the gravity of the charges against him. Let's examine his situation in more detail. Durk was arrested on suspicion of seeking retribution for King Von's untimely death. His entire organization is being targeted by authorities, and 5 other associates are being charged with the same crime. Durk's rap gang, short for OTF, is the purported affiliation of all those named in the indictment. OTF is seen by law enforcement as something much more sinister than the family. The indictment claims that Quando Rondo, who was engaged in King Von's death, was shot by OTF on August 26. The group stated that the sole purpose of the trip was to track down Quando Rondo for retribution, which is why they used an OTF member's credit card to purchase flights to Los Angeles. One member reportedly made hotel reservations for the group after they got to Los Angeles. In order to follow Quando Rondo and his cousin to a patrol station, they allegedly rented 2 automobiles and gave them guns. Although Rondo was unharmed in the event, the prosecution claims that the accused gang took a gamble, exited their vehicles, and began shooting. The gang allegedly discussed paying for the hit at a nearby restaurant after the event. Because of this indictment's disturbing portrayal of purportedly organized vengeance, Durk and his. On the same day the group purchased jet tickets to return to Chicago, new information in the continuing case is anticipated to come to light. This chronology shows that the prosecution has gathered a significant quantity of evidence against Quando Rondo, even though they have survived. In fact, there has been alleged CCTV footage of the shooting that purports to capture the violent event. A video obtained shortly after the shooting shows him chatting to police in a very distressed manner while his arms swing wildly, suggesting that he is clearly affected by the incident. Tragically, Quando can be seen in the video yelling as he witnesses cops removing his cousin's dead body from the car. Regretfully, Q's cousin LPB was slain, possibly because he was with him at the wrong time and location. Quando Rondo didn't discuss the terrible loss in public until lately, despite the fact that the shooting took place in 2022. He talked for a long time about Peeves' death, the circumstances surrounding it, and the impact it had on his life. Years later, you can observe how the tragedy still has a big effect on Kwijo. As a result, he has become paranoid and is constantly on guard, which serves as a sobering reminder of how hazardous his surroundings are. However, following his passing in 2021, King Von has already been the target of attacks. His group was shot at while they were leaving a bar in Georgia following a performance. Kwijo was thankfully safe once more, but one of his companions wasn't. Hit by a gunshot that went through his hand, but throughout their investigation, the authorities were never able to identify the shooter. We are unable to verify whether Durk was involved in the incident, despite the fact that many people think it was retaliation for King Von's death due to the time period. However, there were other strong opinions put out by Reddit users about what could have happened, and the evidence surrounding Elpo's death suggests that Durk's purported actions at the time may have been connected to the murder. According to one user, it was actually self-defense and not even. Even though he wasn't the shooter, Kwandu seems to be receiving the majority of the criticism for King Von's death. Lil Durk allegedly wants Kwandu dead. One user responded that Kwandu isn't entirely innocent, pointing out that he repeatedly disparaged Val after his death and that his people even posted V's dead body online. Kwandu further discussed his relationship with King Val in a 2021 interview with Angela, revealing some details that may surprise you. Kwandu started off by recalling the times when he and Durk were actually on good terms, even mentioning how they collaborated on a song prior to the tragic events surrounding King Val. This is tragic because, prior to the beef, Kwandu had admired Durk as an older brother. Kwandu went on to explain what actually happened that fateful night, the night that led to King Von's needless death, and how one-sided the beef seemed to him, but he had no intention of escalating things or causing harm. Durk never did this gesture of goodwill, even though his own people were charging him for features, which further emphasizes how their relationship was once based on mutual respect. Imagine now, but they shared some camaraderie before the animosity took over. The CCTV footage of the altercation that resulted in King Von's tragic death, however, shows that Durk doesn't think so. Von, wearing a white shirt, approaches Kwijo, who is leaning casually against the car, and V suddenly starts hitting him, taking him by surprise. Kwijo then defends himself, and a few moments later, his friend is shot. Since then, the feud has disintegrated, leaving behind one of the most infamous feuds in hip-hop history. Kwandu, who described the punch as an out-of-body experience, said he was napping inside a car parked outside the club waiting for a friend who was still inside when Lil Tim retaliated by firing the shot that killed Val in his interview with Angela. VGA's punching power was no secret, but according to Kwandu, this one was especially strong, and the official version of events shows an unexpected escalation. Ensure Kwandu's safety when he woke up and got out of the car, Val and his crew appeared to be trying to patch things up as tensions turned into a fight, and Lil Tim acted to protect his friend, which ultimately led to the fatal confrontation. Following the shooting, Lil Tim was initially charged with murder and placed under arrest, but in a shocking turn of events, he was cleared of all charges. Many shocked people had expected at least a manslaughter charge, but the case was dropped completely. King Von's family was understandably upset, and Durk was close to both V and Lil Durk, Von's older brother and mentor. It's obvious that Durk would be angry with Kwandu, but no one expected that he would go to such lengths to exact revenge in an unjustified way. Despite the fact that Quando Rondo was unexpectedly attacked, King Von's associates have never forgiven him for the incident. Von's admirers have been attacking him without restraint for years, and there have been 2 attempts on his life. In an April interview with No Jumper, Kwandu discussed the hate and criticism he has received since the fateful night. He boldly said, "I don't give a *** about them because they were never my fans to begin with." However, his next statement, "When God calls, your time is up, and you got to go, brother," only served to heighten the fervor among these supporters. Lil Durk might claim that OTF isn't a gang, but his close bond with Van and their mutual devotion to their group make that seem unlikely. Days after King Von's untimely death, Durk shared a heartfelt Instagram post that featured a picture of his friend, my twin, gone. "I love you, baby bro." Lasted for years. Durk took V under his wing shortly after he began rapping and signed him to OTF's record label, which helped V launch his career. Many people questioned whether they were family because Von was more like a brother than a coworker. Durk and Von became well known in Chicago for their music and their alleged street connections. They formed an unofficial duo, and despite Durk's importance to Von's success, they surprisingly never collaborated on a full project. Lil Durk, who is currently in his early 30s, has been a prominent figure in the Chicago drill music scene for a long time. While he is not considered elderly by most standards, he is considered a veteran in the context of Chicago's drill culture. It seems that his criminal past is starting to catch up with him, as Von and Durk are well known for both their music and their alleged involvement in criminal activities. Their lyrics often reflect those experiences, leading many to V had legal troubles early in life after being jailed for allegedly participating in multiple shootings, and Durk took him under his wing after his release, giving him support and a platform to express his life through music. However, just before Von's tragic death on February 5, 2019, both Von and Durk were involved in a major crime, the shooting death of a man named Alexander Witherspoon following a robbery. We accuse them of glorifying crime and setting a dangerous example for young people growing up in Chicago. Witherspoon was shot in the leg outside the Varsity, a well-known Atlanta restaurant where his Jeep and $330,000 in cash were stolen, but he survived the ordeal. Court video footage was shown, allegedly showing both Von and Durk at the scene of the crime, but their defense was able to show that neither of them was seen pulling the trigger. Lil Durk and King Von were arrested after Atlanta prosecutors accused them of committing the crime. Von and Durk were both denied bail during the hearings and charged with a variety of offenses, including attempted murder, aggravated assault, and street gang activity. The case, which involved two of Chicago's most well-known rappers and raised concerns about gang-related violence spreading from Chicago to Atlanta, was so serious that a Chicago police captain traveled to Atlanta to assist with the proceedings, despite the fact that Durk's arrest warrant wasn't issued until May, and he turned himself in as soon as it was announced. A second incident linked the two to a shooting that occurred after V's death, but was allegedly planned during his lifetime. FBG Duck was shot and killed, and his family blamed Durk and Von. Weeks before Durk's recent arrest, FBG Duck's mother filed a landmark lawsuit accusing Durk, Von, and their affiliated entities of being involved in FBG Duck's death. FBG Duck was shot and killed in August 2020 while waiting outside a Dolce & Gabbana store in Chicago. He was pronounced dead at the scene, and his girlfriend and another friend were also hurt in the attack. The lawsuit not only targets Durk and Von's estates but also businesses connected to them, including two security firms and other associates linked to the infamous Gango Block. It is believed that the murder was motivated by the ongoing rivalry between his gang, Twill, a faction of the notorious Gangster Disciples, and the Black Disciples, a rival gang that. While Von was shot dead before FBG Duck, he is accused of placing a bounty on Duck's head, which further escalates the conflict between the two groups. All Black members are part of the vicious rivalry between the Gangster Disciples and Black Disciples, which has resulted in years of violence and left a path of loss and devastation across Chicago streets. They are accused of releasing diss tracks about each other. A lawsuit filed in Cook County Court alleges that Durk's record label, Only the Family OTF, is an organized criminal enterprise in addition to a label, and that OTF, which included Von among its artists, had contracts with major labels like Sony, knowing full well that the artists were involved in illegal activities and that Von had a personal grudge against FBG Duck in order to build a brand based on violence and reality, exalting actual crimes. With these revelations, Durk's alleged criminal history and its close ties to his music career are coming to light, exposing a much darker side of the industry. The lawsuit alleges that Durk turned himself in after an arrest warrant was issued, facing serious charges of continuing violence as a marketing tactic to increase record sales and strengthen their reputation by realizing that the reality rap violence controversy, beefs, and notoriety were powerful tools for increasing record sales, streams, and views, as well as creating a profitable brand image. In addition to losing his real brother, who was tragically shot dead in 2021, and his close friend King Val, Durk's life has been nothing short of turbulent. But even more shocking is that, just before his recent arrest, he made a public statement about clearing his criminal record and starting over, despite having a lengthy history. Durk was released on $250,000 bail after being found guilty of aggravated assault and attempted murder, and he wrote a song titled "Turn Me In" about the experience. Thank God, my background was cleared of all cases, and I am no longer a felon. I want to thank everyone who helped make my vision a reality. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. In June, Durk declared that he was ready to move on from his past and embrace his role as someone who has experienced drug abuse and gang violence. In September, he posted on Twitter that his previous charges were being dropped, expressing his joy that everyone should have second chances at life and that it's about what you do with it. Is it evident that Durk will now be subject to the full force of the law, even though he also admitted to using drugs like codeine and Xanax in the past, sharing his journey towards a better path? Was Durk's new direction real, or were these actions carried out before he decided to change his ways? Durk claimed to have turned to religion and left his criminal past behind, but his alleged actions, such as posting a bounty on Quando Rondo, seem to tell a different story of his transformation. Thank you for watching, and in the meantime, remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more of the craziest stories in rap. If you're ready for more, click one of the cards on screen to delve into more jaw-dropping tales. We'll keep you updated on any new developments as his case progresses, including whether he will be sent to California, the scene of the alleged incident, or remain in Broward County Jail.